What is up, everybody? This is Alex from HETV, and today I'm talking about Andy Serkis's Animal Farm, a travesty to cinema, a travesty to the source material, an all-round confusing product. Why did Andy Serkis even make this? What was the motivation? I really don't understand. So let's talk about this shit. It opens with this kind of ominous message. This film is approved by the Angel Guild, a growing community of over 2 million members. This is in reference to, I guess it's like a streaming service, kind of subscription, monthly payment thing where you can watch this stuff. It's a Utah-based media company, I guess, and they like freedom. They love freedom. They love the sound of freedom. They make a lot of stuff that panders to American audiences, which is fine, you can do that. I just don't get why you would butcher Animal Farm, pardon the pun. Animal Farm is a fantastic, succinct, easy to understand, well, you would think, anti-authoritarian, specifically anti-Stalinist message with clear, almost couldn't be more obvious, one-to-one character links with real-life people. Napoleon's supposed to be Stalin, Snowball is Trotsky, or even more broadly a character like Boxer the horse is kind of the concept of the perfect worker, realized as a literal workhorse who is dedicated to the cause and, spoilers, literally worked to death. I guess on the spoiler front, I will be spoiling elements of the book just from contrasting it to the film. There is nothing to spoil in the film, maybe apart from a fart joke or two. If you've somehow not read this book, it's super easy to read. They teach it to like 12-year-olds, which makes this adaptation even more confusing when I found some interviews with Andy Serkis trying to justify its kind of creative choices, because he'd been attached to this for a while, and I think the idea of an Animal Farm film adaptation is kind of needed if you did it authentically and had some kind of vision for it, because it's a great little story. At one point it was going to be full of his signature mocap technology, but along the way, I guess, maybe it would be too expensive, or they just couldn't figure out how to make it not terrifying, even though it should kind of be terrifying. Yeah, so I found this interview on animationscoop.com, which has some very confusing quotes from Serkis talking about it. The response to the very first question, he weathers the storm, saying, "I'm not expecting everybody to like it. In some ways, I hope they don't, because Orwell would wanted it that way." He was writing something that was going to cause debate, and that's what this film's about. This film does not prompt that kind of intellectual debate that almost feels intentionally and maliciously throwing what it's supposed to be about aside in order to be the 40 billionth critique of capitalism that is ironically kind of Orwellian, an anti-Stalinist book corrupted by capitalism and American media to sell an anti-capitalist message because it's on vogue to pay lip service to the idea in media. It's honestly pathetic. He mentions that when he read it, it was around the time where you start to engage with stories with darker themes, adult themes, through a sort of allegory or fantasy. Which is like, yeah, that's what's cool about it, and everyone can understand that. And there he mentions that he was going to do it as a performance capture movie. But this is where it's super confusing, but then it became clear that it would have inevitably been a much darker movie, and we wanted to take it to a broad audience. Right. Orwell wrote this for young minds to receive, so we decided to go down an animation route, and I'm really glad we did that. What are you at? That doesn't even make sense. You were just saying that the appeal of it is the darker side of it, and then you're justifying taking it broad by going an animation route, the implication being that animation is only for babies, but then cites Orwell's original intent for younger minds to be able to receive it, but the original story is really fucked up and dark. So it just sounds like bullshit, honestly. The cast is kind of insane. I think they've been attached for a long time, so maybe there's a bunch of contractual stuff at play. I don't know why these people would even be involved with this, really, outside of maybe an easy paycheck or like maybe a day in the booth, a couple hours at most. Well, that's good for him. Seth Rogen, Steve Buscemi, Glenn Close, Kieran Culkin, Woody Harrelson is Boxer, the horse I mentioned, and is the narrator of the film, and his performance is very, I don't know, I just rewatched Tropic Thunder, and you know the line about never going full, like, that's what his vocal performance was reminding me of. Got Big Bang Theory in there, let's go. With how bad, like, a lot of the dialogue and the performances are, and Seth Rogen just playing Seth Rogen, and doing his laugh every 3 seconds. Andy Serkis is this kind of throwaway rooster character, and is notably bad. I can't stop thinking about what his incentive is, because when you're that well connected and you're that loaded and rich and are still getting regular work, why would you even debase yourself with a project like this? Because it can't be monetary, it must be something else. There must be something a bit more ego-driven about it. But if this is supposed to be your passion project, why do you not have a script that's at least based on the book in some way? Because the truth of the matter is, if this wasn't called Animal Farm, and it was called like Farm Animals, the movie, directed by Andy Serkis, and was exactly the same and maybe had some conclusions to Animal Farm. It wouldn't be that annoying. It's just like a nothing, boring, just piece of shit, throwaway animated film. But you're conjuring the story. You are taking bits and pieces, but kind of reframing them and destroying the intent and modernizing this in the worst possible way, taking out any emotional charm or tension or fear at the heart of the real story and what it's trying to say. What the hell is this shot? What is that? Oh, there's a pig. I'm filling it with so much fluff that the story just doesn't need. Pig on iPad, funny.
They want this!
Nice. Big fat Seth Rogen pig ass, am I right? They put a bunch of modern technology in it, drones, and Glenn Close is like a Peter Thiel tier, like capitalist bad guy, who in this new version of it, I don't even really understand why she even cares about this farm, when like how ludicrously powerful she is anyway, but you know, whatever. So seeing as it is animated, I can talk about the animation a little bit. For its budget, which is what I could find, about 35 million or so, it looks okay. It's not the animator's fault that this sucks the way it does. They were doing the best they could. They take a lot of shortcuts. The camera very rarely moves. It's a very static film. Pretty sure they used Canadian tax credits, some weird tax loophole, to subsidize a bunch of the animation. It's so annoying because there's no excuse for the waste of resources. You could make a lower budget animated movie, improve something that actually had a cool idea behind it or a good script, but there's just no way through whatever system this was made through because it's broad in the most frustrating way possible. And what does Andy Serkis directing this actually look like? Like on the day-to-day of putting this movie together, what was his real involvement in this? I'd be fascinated because, I mean, he's not a good director. I don't think he's ever directed anything good. He kind of just feels like he's handed these offshoot projects that no one gives a shit about, and he gets to do it because he's Andy Serkis. The fart joke was good. That was iconic.
I'm about to fart right now.
Nice.
This is the sound of freedom.
So, if you notice that, I don't know if this was supposed to be an intentional dig at the film, The Sound of Freedom, which also coincidentally is an Angel Studios film. It's like, yeah, I hate that fucking film, it sucks. The Sound of Freedom. But it's like, wow, you're really owning them with your, in some ways, even worse adaptation of Animal Farm. Damn, you really stand for something here, huh? Obviously, like all bad, shitty animated films, there are atrocious needle drops and gags. There's zero cleverness to it. It wants to be this kind of screwball comedy. And the actual scene structure and editing and the emphasis it will leave a scene on, kind of edited around little moments of like, and this is when the audience will be laughing type stuff, but it's always just so awkward. There is something kind of ironic and funny about this hyper-Americanized version of Animal Farm that just misses the point entirely, with a screenplay written by the same writer as Yes Man. And this is one of those stories that tests a lot of media literacy. It's been banned for being simultaneously pro-communist and anti-communist by some crowds. It's one of those. And it's like, Orwell was a democratic socialist. If you know anything about his history and what he stood for, the way people use his writing to make political arguments, especially in America, has always been quite weird. There's some pretty good pop culture references though. That's what the Animal Farm adaptation needs. Keep it nice and modern. Take the timeless story and instantly date it. Good creative choice. Oh yeah, they go to a mall and spend money and drive Ferraris. A good example of a scene that just utterly misses the point is the key moment of the pig standing on two legs, which is a spine-chilling, demented moment in the book where it pretty much ends with the pigs playing cards with some local farmers and being indistinguishable from the thing they hated at the beginning of the story, that being its ultimate point. A very dark, negative ending, but it needs to end that way for it to make its point. Like the Russian Revolution was a fucking mess. Whereas this has to be the broad family, you can't feel too bad film. So to contrast with that horror from the original story, the scene where the pigs figure out how to stand on two legs is played for laughs and is silly comedy. Isn't that so goofy and funny? So fucking boring, dude. What are you doing? I noticed at one point in the movie a really weird, like, audio glitch. I couldn't tell if it was a filter or some minor AI usage or something. It's a Seth Rogen line.
Animal Farm.
Why does it sound like that when he says farm?
Existence of Animal Farm. Animal Farm. Farm.
Any theories out there? Because that's some weird shit. Throughout the film, if there's anything of scale or that would be complicated to animate, it would just cut away. So an hour and 8 minutes in the film when the book would end is the equivalent scene of the pigs, in this case being literally indistinguishable from a human, which they cleverly show through a literal translation of that famous ending line in the least creative, most obvious way possible. So the last act kind of turns into this kind of heist or break-in to this giant water dam that the Glenn Close villain has built nearby the farm. Oh yeah, this is the type of scale we're talking about where the crowd are all copy and pasted and are all in like hazmat suits for some reason. One of the things that makes Animal Farm a cool story is kind of how contained it is. Turning it into this big scale action thing is so... it's disrespectful to the heart of the story that you're LARPing in the name of. This isn't supposed to be a story about comeuppance and the bad guys getting theirs. It's supposed to be a story about the bad guys winning. It's the entire fucking point. Gotta have the showdown on the water with Alan the alien fighting Dustin from Stranger Things. Hell yeah. Oh, say, can you see? I mean, what else is there to really say? I could bring up the 50s version. That's kind of funny to talk about. Just to go back to the weird way America has used this story historically. I'm not joking, this film was funded by the CIA in secret and also changed the story to basically be anti-Soviet propaganda. They also changed the bleak ending and turned it into a uprising. Just insane. So as far as a rating, this is an awful piece of shit. Surprise, surprise. This is an easy half star. Don't even have to think about this one. Pathetic they made it. Pathetic they released it. Embarrassing that they would bastardize it to this degree. I can't even find like a fun angle to make fun of this one, like Minions or SpongeBob or whatever the fuck. This is just sad and pathetic. Fuck this one.